Let's move on to another big story. Indians were awaiting an important verdict today from the Supreme Court. The Apex Court had to decide whether or not to legalize same-sex marriages. We will tell you in a while why this is not so black and white. First, the news. The Supreme Court refused to legalize same-sex marriage or extend adoption rights to queer couples. While holding that making laws is a domain of Parliament, the five-judge bench made statements that many see as reformist. We bring you 4 quotes by Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud. 1. An individual's right to enter into a union cannot be restricted on the basis of sexual orientation. 2. Queerness is neither urban nor elite. Queer unions are to be recognized as a union to give partnership and love. 3. It would be incorrect to state that marriage is a static and unchanging institution. And 4. The law cannot assume that only heterosexual couples can be good parents, as it would amount to discrimination against queer couples. These are important observations from the Indian society and for the Indian society that mostly still remains conservative. Remember, India does not recognize any kind of same-sex marriage relations. The government had insisted that only Parliament could discuss the socio-legal issue of marriage. In today's discussions, Supreme Courts agreed that it is not their jurisdiction to legalize same-sex marriage, which is why the Chief Justice of India urged the Parliament to look into the Special Marriage Act. The Apex Court had heard the arguments over 10 days in April and May. The batch of petitioners consisted of 20 filed by same-sex couples, transgender individuals and LGBTQ+ activists. These petitions challenged the provisions of 3 existing acts. 1. Special Marriage Act 1954. 2. Hindu Marriage Act 1955. And 3rd, the Foreign Marriage Act 1969. They noted that these legislations do not recognize non-heterosexual marriages. Some suggested that it violated their constitutional rights and made them feel like second-class citizens. The existing acts specifically allows marriage between a man and a woman. This leaves out the needs of the queer community. And for more on this, we are now being joined by Sonal Gyani, LGBTQIA activist, Global Senior Advisor, Gender and Inclusion, IPPF, Board Member, UNAIDS. And she's now joining us live from New Delhi. Sonal, welcome to WION World is One. What does this ruling mean for you?
I think the verdict, frankly, has been really disappointing for the community. For a lot of us, we were very eagerly waiting and anticipating, and of course we expected a very positive judgment to come in, because this was our apex court sitting on it, some of the country's best lawyers, and we have been decriminalized, and it just seemed like the right way forward. So it's been really deeply disappointing, and not just deeply disappointing because of how the way. The fact that it is not in our favor, but also, how we find that, it's a very divided panel on things. So, for example, while, 2 judges do feel that, this community could be accorded, the recognition of civil union, there are others who don't believe so. And, you did mention certain statements at the beginning which came up from the esteemed court.
Right.
However, we find that there's a complete contradiction as the rest of the judges start speaking. So at one level, we find that there is a recognition and a respect for, the intimate lives of the communities, and, speaking about how there shouldn't be discrimination against communities. And in the same breath, what we hear is that, we cannot give you marriage rights, we can't give you adoption rights, we can't, recognize you as civil unions. All we can do is ask you to, meet with the parliamentary committee and speak to them about your issues. And this parliamentary committee will be headed by the Government of India, who has actually, in fact, sat in opposition in our court case.
So now that you've said that the ruling was disappointing, the Chief Justice did indicate that this verdict should not be used to discriminate against the queer community. What do you make of that statement by the Chief Justice?
Of course, I mean, that's welcome, but the point is that his sensitivity is not necessarily translating to non-discrimination on the ground, right? You may say that there shouldn't be violence, there shouldn't be discrimination, but if at the root of it is the fact that we are not seen as equal, our relationships are not seen as equal by our non-heterosexual counterparts. So obviously there is going to be discrimination. So it just feels like a chicken and egg kind of situation. And also I want to say that when we were decriminalized back in 2018, these were statements that had come up by the Chief Justice then as well. But we are not sitting here to talk about violence against us. We were really anticipating a clear-cut directive in terms of moving forward when it comes to, giving us companionship rights.
All right, I've been talking to Sonal Gyani, live from New Delhi. Thank you, Sonal, for talking to WION World is One today.
Thank you, Scott.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.